On this very special episode of your Packers Fan Podcast, we interview Packers nose tackle Kenny Clark, and we will preview the long-awaited Packers at Cowboys game next.
It should have been a victory again for us this week, but sadly the odds and the officiating were not on our side. This is your Packers Fan Podcast, the show by and for fans of your 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers. I'm Scott Clark, and I'm getting awfully accustomed to the Packers playing at Lambeau Field. Sure, I'm going to miss it next week. I really still wish that every Packers game could be played there.
Oh, some things just can't happen in this modern age. I'm Wayne Henderson, and I can't believe that in 2019, the game officials are still able to rip possible victory out of the Packers' hands. On this 185th edition, recorded on International Podcast Day 2019, we've got the interview we alluded to at the top, Packers nose tackle Kenny Clark. We talked to him last week, going to include it in the episode in just a moment. Then we're going to talk a little bit about that loss to the Eagles.
And we'll preview the Week 5 game in Dallas. And as always, we share your feedback from 920-3PACK-GO and from social media. You can check out the show notes for this episode at PackersFanPodcast.com. And we've been teasing it for the past few seconds, but we're going to go ahead and kick things off with the interview with nose tackle Kenny Clark. I would just want to give you a quick heads up. We did record this before Thursday's game. So if you hear us a little amped up for the game and excited about the possible win, that's why, but very grateful to Kenny for taking the time to do this interview, and also got to give him a shout out because he actually said hello to one of the students at my school, and it was very kind of him. So without further ado, here is the interview we had with Mr. Kenny Clark.
It gives me great pleasure to welcome to the Packers Fan Podcast the Packers' first-round draft pick for the 2016 NFL Draft and 27th overall pick, nose tackle for the green and gold, number 97, Mr. Kenny Clark. Welcome to the show, Mr. Clark.
Oh, yeah, thank you for having me.
Very excited to talk with you, man. I actually got to tell you, first off, I have to say thank you right off the bat. I'm not sure if you remember this, but you gave me a copy of Madden last season via Twitter. I don't know if you remember this. If you remember this story, somebody actually, I'm the guy whose picture was stolen off of Twitter.
Oh, okay, yeah. I
remember that? So,
yeah, I remember that.
So thank you so much for that. That was very much appreciated. So,
yeah, no problem. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
And Kenny, it's awesome to see you going from Carter High School in Rialto, right here in the Inland Empire, then to UCLA, and then, of course, to our beloved Green Bay Packers. What a journey you've had so far.
Yeah, man, I just worked hard and just had two great parents. I just stayed down and kept grinding and stick to the script, really.
That's awesome. And as of this recording, the Packers are 3-0, much of which is attributed to you and the rest of the defensive squad. Can you tell us what has led to Green Bay's defense being such a powerhouse during the first 3 weeks of the NFL season?
I just think, man, just the brotherhood. We all playing together. All of us are really pulling for each other and just trying to find different ways to make each other better. We all competitive. And, I mean, you add that with just the talent that we have as a defense as a whole, you can find great things. Just a whole group of guys that's unselfish and that just want to do their job and not let the next man down next to him. So that's really what we got going on around here.
That's awesome to see, man.
And it's working very, very well. Taking a side trip away from the Packers just for a moment, last summer, Kenny, you held your third annual football camp for kids in Rialto here in the Inland Empire. Can you share a little more about your great off-season projects and how they became such a priority for you?
Well, man, just growing up in San Bernardino, just trying to help kids, and families just the best way I can. It's always good to give back. I'm big on that. I'm a family-oriented guy, and, my dad, he's in prison and stuff, so I love just, putting smiles on people's faces and just helping kids out. And, they don't get a chance to see us all the time. They always see us on TV and stuff like that. And I know a lot of people in my city and, in my county, they all know me. And just for them to get a chance to actually see me, shake my hand, give me a hug, it's pretty cool. And I feel like it's something that they won't forget.
That's really awesome, man. Doing the Clark name proud, man. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
You are 3 weeks into the season with a brand new head coach, and your record obviously shows that things are going quite well. But can you tell us how things are clicking with both the defense and the offense under Matt LaFleur?
Honestly, man, it's just the energy that coach brings every day, that he demands from us, every practice and every game. It's just from when he first got here, man, his energy is just contagious. And then I would just say, man, just overall vibe of, him coming in and him just trying to change things around here and just getting us closer as a team so we know each other more. It's just the little things that I feel like he did, and it's just really paying off, for us because, we all playing for each other. We all sticking with each other, and we don't blink really. Somebody scores a touchdown, or things don't go right. We all got full confidence that we're gonna get it fixed as soon as we go to the sideline, or that next week. So we got a bunch of guys like that on our team. And just our leadership, and how we hold each other accountable. That's just what it is, man. We just try to live it that way each and every day.
Yeah, watching that from home, it's evident and it's great to see. Plus, we've been blessed with having a lot of the Packers games on television in the different areas this year. And here at the Packers Fan Podcast, we've got a great community of fans in our social media groups. We've got a few questions from them as well that they wanted us to ask you. The first one comes from Caleb Fisher, who wants to know, how great do you think the Packers defense looks to you compared to the previous years that you've been with the Packers?
This is the best it's looked since I've been here. And I would just say we're explosive. We're way faster, just more physical. Of course, we got stuff to work on, of course, but, from years prior to now, I think we're way ahead of schedule. We got a lot of young guys too. To add that on, we got a lot of young guys, so we got a lot of room to develop and grow.
One of our other listeners, Mark Ellison, wants to know, Kenny, your alma mater UCLA is struggling this year at 1-3. Are you still in contact with any of the players, and do you watch their games on Saturday?
Yeah, I do. Hopefully they can get it together. Chip Kelly, he's known as a great coach, so I'm pretty sure once he gets all his recruits in there and everything, he'll get the program turned around. But I still do talk to. I got like a couple guys that I either play with or that went. I know Locaney and Laney. Those guys, they had played in my high school, so I still know those guys. And just some of the guys that I helped recruit before I left. They're still there, so I know them since they were in our high school. So they got talent. They got talent over there for sure. It's just all about just putting the pieces together. And they're a young team at that too. So just growing up together, developing, and getting the right guys in there to help turn the program around.
It'll be great to watch and see how things progress there at UCLA. Got a great question from Matt Haig in our community as well, saying, Kenny, first of all, congratulations on starting 3-0. It's been fun watching the Packers defense dominate, and he wants to thank you for all your hard work and looks forward to seeing you guys whoop up on the Eagles this Thursday night. How did opening the season by beating the Bears in Chicago help the team's chemistry?
Man, that's probably like one of the most, it was just the happiest I've seen our team in a long time. And just to see, Coach's face, Coach LaFleur, he was so happy, man. He got his first win as a head coach, and then to add that on, it was against the Bears in a hostile environment. To get his first win, that was big for him. And then with Coach Pettin and how we played defense that day, it just gave us a lot of confidence and it just showed, the work that we put in all preseason, all training camp, OTAs, and what we talked about being and doing. That's what it was. That's what it was, and it all came out on the field. Just the energy and how we were about the ball, and just the penetration on the field, and getting the ball out. And we preach that each and every day in OTAs and training camp, and then just for that to come out and for it to come out in the game, and it really it's happening every single day. It's pretty cool to see. So.
Yeah, is there another team that you're most looking forward to going up against this season?
Man, honestly, I only got like my eyes on a certain team. The Eagles, they're pretty good. I know we got the Cowboys next. And then, really just our division. I'm worried about winning our division. Our division, I feel like is the toughest in the NFL. I was talking about this earlier. We got 4 great defenses, with the Lions, Bears, and the Vikings. And then us, man, we got 4 great defenses, 4 really good quarterbacks in our division, 4 really good coaches. So, and all the teams are pretty young and up on the rise. So, like, we got 4 really good teams that can really have got potential to really make the playoffs and be contenders for a Super Bowl. So we got to really just make sure we stay up on our game and try to win as much games as possible so we can be there at the end.
All right, our last question from our community comes from James the Burner, and he wants to know, how much extra do you have to work out to burn off all the calories you get from eating the opposing offensive line's lunch every Sunday?
Oh, man, I don't know. I'm just out there trying to do my job, man. He said, calories I'm burning?
Yeah, that's what he said.
I don't know. I lose a lot of weight during the game, so I'm pretty sure, I'm burning a lot of calories.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
Hey, Mr. Clark, it's been a pleasure speaking with you this afternoon. Can you let us know where fans can follow you on social media? Where's the best place to go?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at KClarkJr_, and then you can follow me on Twitter at KC.thatlife.
And before we let you go, do you have any last-minute words of advice for the fans on how they can continue to support you as well as the rest of the Packers for the rest of this season?
Man, just keep on supporting us. We got a lot of stuff to work on, and we not gonna stop being hungry. We 3-0 right now, but we got a lot of stuff to work on, and I truly feel like we on the rise, and it's gonna be a special year for us. So just keep rooting for us, keep on doing what you guys doing. Guys that's coming to the game, be as loud as you can, and if you come into a away game, be as loud as you can too. So yeah, man, just keep rooting us on and just keep being the best fans that you guys are.
Definitely will. My wife and I will actually be up there for the Chicago game in December, so we'll be cheering for you with our Clark jerseys on.
Oh, yeah, perfect. Oh, yes, sir.
Gotta represent. Awesome. Thanks so much for taking the time to chat with us today, Kenny. Here's to a great remainder of the season and a happy early birthday for you. I hear it's coming up in just about 10 days or so.
Oh, yeah, man. Appreciate that.
Oh, man, that was a lot of fun. Scott, I still can't believe it. We got to talk to Kenny Clark.
It was fantastic, and he's got a great last name, so that's a great Packer to start with.
But it was one of those things that it was all set up, but I'm always like, what if it's not really Kenny Clark? What if we didn't really talk to his people? But the fact that even though this is obviously just an audio podcast, he joined us on video Skype, so we saw him leaving practice at Lambeau Field in the background, saw him saying goodbye to teammates or coaches, get in his car, get his phone up on the tripod or whatever and get it all set, and it's nice and quiet in his car, and away we went.
It was a very surreal experience, and I am grateful to him for joining us, as well as the representation for him and the rest of the team for allowing that to happen. It was a great opportunity for us, and I hope you listeners enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed hosting it.
And Scott, thanks for helping make that thing happen.
Absolutely.
And then a couple days later, the Packers played the Eagles, and even though it goes down in history as a loss, there were a few highlights in there. Aaron Rodgers, he's got a running game. It's himself, basically.
Yeah, how sad is that our quarterback has more rushing yards than any other player on the team? Is this a highlight or is this a low light? I'm not quite sure.
It's kind of both, but it's sad that our running backs didn't get more yards than Aaron. But like Travis shared in our Facebook community group, the fact that Aaron Rodgers is still able to move and run, and people need to take that into account, bodes well. He is still a mobile quarterback, and anybody that counts him out is asking for it. And how about Jimmy Graham?
He was doing great for a while there. He had a couple of great catches, one in the ends, at least one in the end zone. Did he have two? He just had the one, right?
I lose track because then the officiating went downhill. But
I love how you just tune out the game after, you don't even care about what happened in the game if they lost. That's great.
Coach LaFleur said we need to wipe the slate clean and move forward. So that's what I did.
Oh, okay. So you're just listening to Coach. No, I was really happy with all the catches he had, but for a while there, it just seemed like he's turned into stone hands a little bit. And I'm not sure if that is his fault or if it was just being rifled in there too quick. But man, catch the ball. He missed some real key ones when it was really important.
Yeah, the good and the bad. And Mason Crosby, he was back on track, got us a lot of points, and he did a pretty good stop on one of the, I believe it was a kickoff return. He helped save an instant touchdown from happening. So thank you in many ways, Mason Crosby.
Oh, yeah, that was one heck of a hit, by the way. I kind of backed up that one to watch it because I think I felt the dust knock off the back of my TV when that happened.
Oh, there's dust back there? From all those video games, the dust should be just vibrating off that thing.
There you go.
Now, lowlights. The fact that there were no ejections for some of the blatant helmet-to-helmet penalties near the beginning of the game. First play from scrimmage, I believe.
Yeah, the first one, I don't know if it was ejection worthy, but the second one really felt intentional and like he was trying to cause some harm. And I was shocked, as were the announcers, that Barnett was not ejected from that play because it seemed very blatantly obvious he was trying to hurt somebody, as were several of the Eagles during that game.
Yeah, and the fact that a very similar play just happened yesterday in the Raiders game, and at this point, I'm sure he's going to appeal it, but the Raider is suspended for the entire season.
Yeah, and we didn't even get an ejection.
Yeah, so it's very strange, and the one in the Packers game seemed even more blatant just to me, but maybe that's my green and gold colored glasses. And later in the game, it was terrible to see the ball stripped out of Aaron Rodgers' hands, and then it kind of banged up his hand a little bit more, even though he was fine most of the rest of the game.
Yeah, and it shouldn't go without saying that wouldn't have happened if Barnett had been ejected like he should have been, because he was the one that stripped the ball. So, not saying, I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to agree. I hear what you're saying. Yeah, Barnett should not have been there. That ball should not have been stripped, and the game kind of hinged on that. And wow, we got off pretty light the first 3 games of the season. Wouldn't you agree, Scott, as far as injuries go? But after this game, Will Redmond, Jamal Williams, and poor Jamal, but I guess he's in good spirits and won't be back this week, but will probably be back very soon. But also Devontae Adams with his toe, Brian Balaga, David Bakhtiari. I mean, all very important players.
Absolutely. And Jamal Williams in particular, that was one of those scary hits. It was, he was on the field he was out, it felt like, for a while, but he started moving, was carted off the field, gave a thumbs up, and some of his teammates were saying that he was joking around even at the hospital when they were doing the concussion check and all that. So thoughts and prayers for Jamal Williams. Hope he gets a speedy recovery. I will be shocked if he is out less than 3 weeks because that was a brutal hit. What's up with Devontae Adams' toe? He kept massaging it on the sidelines at one point. I don't really know. Did he get stepped on? Did he?
I couldn't
see
exactly how it happened, but I believe he has the infamous turf toe and is questionable for this week's game. We would like to have him, but next man up, Jake Kumaro. I hope you are ready, my friend.
Yeah, let's get Cobb back. Can we do that? He's not doing anything over at the with the Cowboys.
Aaron Rodgers gets to bump into his old buddy this week.
Yeah, that'll be interesting for sure, but we'll get there.
Yes, we will. And I don't want to sound like this was the only reason we lost the game, but there was terrible officiating there at the beginning with no ejection, and even on the very last play. Instead of an interception, that should have been pass interference. We were ripped off yet again, just like the early part of last season when officials were costing us the game. I thought that all turnovers were reviewed, and since that was an interception, why was that not reviewed? And the guy just was wrapped around the Packer.
Well, let's back it up just a little bit, because there was one before that where they actually threw the red flag to have that call reviewed for the other pass interference call. And I'm just of the mind that pass interference flags or challenges are just never going to be reversed, because if that one is not going to be reversed, then none of them ever will, because that was blatantly obvious. Now, I don't mean to sound like a whiny Packer fan. This is not why we lost the game. I think a bigger reason why we lost the game is that we couldn't travel a single yard in 5 downs. Because it's very frustrating, because watching the game, I kept going, guys, the running game isn't working. Stop running the ball so much. And it felt like they listened. and they started passing and passing. Great. Now that you're on the 1 yard line, can't you run the ball at least once? Maybe just once, just to see what happens? It felt like it was the Super Bowl all over again with Pete Carroll.
Oh, my. You went there.
Yeah. I mean, why run the ball? We had 5 chances. Pete Carroll had 1. We had 5.
And one of those pass attempts or whatever it was just looked like a broken play from the instant Aaron Rodgers got the ball. I'm like, what is going on? This is weird. What? Yeah.
So. And granted, all that would have done is tied the game. So it was not a guaranteed loss or win or anything. Who knows what would have happened there. But I still feel like that first pass interference no call was just kind of deflated us, because that would have been a huge play and would have kind of pivoted the game a little bit. And, shoulda, coulda, woulda, who knows what would have happened. It's a disappointing loss. I take it with dignity, though.
I don't. No. But at the same time, the fact that so many Packers players were being injured, that's just got to mess with the morale and psyche of the entire team. Seeing your teammates go down and, like you said, that was vicious for Jamal Williams, and it was very, very scary indeed. But it is what it is. It's done. Everybody else in the NFC North lost except for the Bears, but we were so far ahead of them. The Packers are still in first place in the division, so we got
just
that.
Barely. We got the interdivisional win that's keeping us hanging by a thread. But
if the playoffs were to start today, Scott.
After week 4, the playoffs started today. We're in first place.
It's a shortened season. Go, Pack, go. Let's check in for some listener feedback. The Packers Fan Podcast G-Force, you gave us calls at 920-3-PACK-GO.
Go, Pack, go! That is how I ultimately must feel after last night. This is Jared Machini-Kerr. FYI, I know there was a little bit of a confusion on my last name, but it's all good. Anyways, I'll make this brief, but not much to say. I mean, overall, it was a team loss. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were some definite frustrations, and that's putting it lightly, with the way the officiating was going. But overall, just kind of somewhat the same on offense when it really mattered. I think overall we made some improvements. I mean, Aaron Rodgers threw for a ton of yards, over 400 yards. But, he had to throw way too many times. He had like 53 attempts. So we lost a lot of that balance between the run and the pass game. Couldn't make it work in the red zone. And obviously our defense had a rough time as well. So anyways, that's kind of what I had. I think overall, 2 biggest takeaways: tighten up that frickin' run defense for sure. And as for the offense goes, just really figuring that out. So, but nonetheless, we're still 3-1. There's a lot of football left in the season. Go, Pack, go. Green and cold, Dolts dead and cold.
Thanks so much, Jared, for that voicemail. My favorite part about your voicemail is that even though we had the loss, you still started it with a hearty Go, Pack, go, and I love it. It's someone once told me that when it comes to your football team, you should win with grace and lose with dignity, and I love that. I agree with everything that you said. The defense, especially when it comes to the run, really needs to tighten that up. And and I like that you mentioned the officiating, but didn't blame the game on that. We lost that game for sure, and I don't like it when people just blame the refs. There have been games in the past where I legitimately believe we got screwed over by the refs. I don't feel like we lost this one because of the bad calls, though.
Yeah, like Jared said, a team loss. And that's how it goes in the record books. So thank you so much for your call. We hope to hear from you after the Cowboys game as well. Keep our number handy, everybody, 920-3-PACK-GO. We also heard from Southern California, Andre in L.A.
Go, Pack, go. Go, Pack, go. Andre in L.A. First and foremost, I want to send prayers and well wishes to all the players that got injured last night. The game I love, but every now and then it reminds you of how brutal it can be to play and to watch. So I hope wish everyone a speedy recovery. A lot to unpack from last night's game. Aaron Rodgers appeared to get back on track, but the warning signs we saw in the first 3 games became very evident. In the red zone, they really struggled. I know some people are going to try to place the blame on a bunch of different players, but it felt like a total team loss, special teams was very disappointing to start the game. We had the Crosby out of bounds, the early special teams play where they gave us a lot of yards early in the game. And the rest, we settled for 3 points twice when we probably should have been able to score a touchdown. There were a lot of drops throughout the game. Jimmy Graham, he did have a touchdown, but he had a lot of drops, not just in the red zone, but just throughout the game. Scantling, he had quite a few drops as well. We lost Williams early in the game. We lost Devontae Adams late in the game. The defense just got ran all over. And considering the fact we played the Cowboys in 10 days, I mean, hopefully they'll take some time and kind of figure out a better scheme, or I'm not sure what the issue was. But one thing I will say, it's early in the season. There's always room for progress. Sometimes we need to be reminded of where we need to improve. Obviously, in red zone, obviously third down, obviously stopping the run. So I'm not discouraged, more disappointed than discouraged, because it felt like it was a missed opportunity. But I'm looking forward to your guys' thoughts. I still believe this will be our year. You know, all Packer fans, keep your head up. It's still green and gold, so I'm dead and cold. Andre in LA. Love you guys.
Love you too, Andre. Thank you again for your calls, your support, and everything. So good to hear from you. And great reminders in that voicemail. Great reminder that the prayers and well wishes are going out to our injured players. And a reminder, a sobering one, of how brutal this game can be, Scott.
Absolutely. And we mentioned the brutal hit that Crosby had on the return, but it seemed like that shook him up a little bit with a kick out of bounds. That is just so unlike Crosby.
Good
to
point.
kick one out of bounds and start him on a 40. I don't know what that was about, but definitely gave the Eagles good field position right out the gate. And, man, I hate to see that stuff happen.
Yeah, and Andre echoed what you had mentioned, as well as Jared, that it was a team loss. And great to be reminded in a lot of ways where the team needs to improve. And hey, looking on the bright side, the pressure of going 19-0 is now off their shoulders, and we can focus on winning.
Look at you in the silver lining, man.
I try.
Always optimistic. I love it.
Not always, but I'm sure thankful we don't record this show right after the game.
I kind of wanted to, man. I almost called you up and said, let's go ahead and record it now because I'm fired up.
Oh, man, could you imagine to be a very depressing episode?
Yeah, I was not happy.
You'd be the one with the silver lining. That'd be for sure. Probably. Also got some emails. Caleb, Kathy, and Roy Fisher all checking in from Green Bay, Wisconsin, home of our Green Bay Packers. Our defense was horrible during the game. We don't understand why we couldn't get to the quarterback. We also couldn't believe the no-call pass interference calls that the referees missed, especially the last play of the game, that would have given the Packers a touchdown. All in all, we're still proud to be Packers fans. This is the Fishers saying, "Go, Pack, go!" Bleed green and gold till dead and cold. And Caleb is even being hearty with his "Go, Pack, goes," even in an email.
Yeah, gotta love it, man. Also got an email from Steven who says, Steven, check it in again from Palos Park, Illinois. I'd still like to know what caused the Packers players to play uninspired football against the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm betting for that the first time since going into week number 1 that the Packers will be underdogs. Can't wait to hear your thoughts on the Eagles game. Thank you so much, Steven. You've heard it already, I suppose, but we'll be talking more about the upcoming game against the Cowboys, which I'm a little nervous about.
Well, we definitely should be nervous. There's no doubt about that. And yeah, I don't know if the game against the Eagles, if it was uninspired or just not doing the fundamentals, something was definitely wrong. And when Steven says he was checking in again, he did send an email right after the game. But I think it was good just to let Steven vent. There was nothing in there we could really share on the podcast.
So we don't have our beep filter handy on your little recording device there?
I'm over the quotas. It would be just way too many.
Like listen to an episode of South Park in the podcast version.
Well, I think, yeah, exactly. We all kind of felt that a little bit of frustration when it was over.
Yeah.
But now, a few days to breathe, refocus. And reminder, be sure to get your voicemails into us and emails if you'd like. Be part of the next episode of the podcast. Just get those pieces of feedback to us by Sunday at 11 p.m. Central. Thanks again for your support. Go Pack Go, of course. In our weekly Twitter poll, I wanted you to vote on the headline for this upcoming post-game press conference. or even vote and maybe even come up with your own headline. But basically, what is going to be the storyline for the Packers after the game in Dallas? And of course, Scott and I will share basically what our headlines will be as we preview the game. The listeners, 41% of the voters said the Packers offense and defense both helped the Packers get the win. So it's going to be good on both sides of the ball, Scott.
Yeah, but 43% also said that Dallas proves to be too much this time, which is the majority, Wayne.
Is that a math thing? That's the majority? Yeah, I guess you're right. I still can't believe that most people think the Cowboys will be too much for us this time.
Yeah, well, you think the Packers can never lose, so yeah, of course you can't think that.
No, and I've got some stats to back it up in just a moment or two. But 16% of the voters said that the Packers shock Dallas by shutting down Zeke.
Ooh,
that would be a shocker.
With our run defense.
Well, the Cowboys were supposed to have a great run defense, and I didn't see all that much of that against the Saints yesterday.
That's true. Any given Sunday, man.
Exactly. That's why they play the game. Something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the 3-1 Green Bay Packers hit the road to play the 3-1 Cowboys in Dallas this coming Sunday, October 6th at 3:25 Central. For a while, I thought this game might be flexed into nighttime, but I haven't heard any rumblings about that, and I think it's too late now, right?
I would assume so. It's way too late to try to make changes now.
Yeah, I think Fox wants to hang on to this. This is definitely the game of the week. The Cowboys are coming off their first loss to the Saints without Drew Brees. The Saints without Drew Brees beat the Cowboys.
That's a very good point and should help your optimism a little bit.
The series all time, the Packers do lead it 19-17. And in the Aaron Rodgers era, the Packers have not lost a game in Dallas, including the Super Bowl when we beat the Steelers.
Woohoo!
Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, successful in Dallas ever since Aaron Rodgers became our starting quarterback. And that includes one of the games where Matt Flynn was filling in for the injured AR-12, and we beat them handily in Dallas as well. So we're on a roll there. That's all I'm saying. Anything can happen. This is our first of 3 games against teams with silver helmets.
You've got that stat machine that the NFL coordinators have, man. Like just these random stats that make it look like it's going to be a winning game. I love it.
It's a thing I have. I just don't like silver helmets, and we have to play 3 in a row. We the Lions, the Raiders, but obviously
the Panthers.
And then, we do take a break from silver helmets for 1 or 2 weeks, and then we play the Panthers. Yeah, a lot of silver helmets going on. What are you going to do? So as of today, and this can all change before Sunday, but all of these players are quote-unquote questionable or out for the game in Dallas. Montravius Adams, Jake Kumerow, Jamal Williams, Oren Burks, Will Redmond, Brian Bulaga, Kevin King, and Devontae Adams. I do expect to see at least a couple of those play on Sunday.
I sure hope so, because there are some very heavy-hitting names in that list, and I do not want to see any of them. Again, I don't expect Jamal Williams to play for sure.
Right.
Devontae Adams
maybe.
Feels like a maybe, because even when he was injured, he was telling Coach, look, man, put me in, Coach. I got this. So
he wanted to play center field, right? Yeah. Oh, wait, wrong. Put me in, Coach.
I'm ready to get. We're going to start singing now.
Oh, I'm here to help. Game time weather, not really applicable Sunday since Dome. I'm sure they're going to have the Dome closed because it's 92 degrees Fahrenheit outside in Dallas on Sunday, 33 degrees Celsius. So pretty much they're going to keep it, about 76 degrees inside?
Probably. I don't know how they temperature control that thing. Have you ever been to Dallas Stadium?
No, I haven't been to that one. 2 or 3 years ago, I went to the playoff game in Phoenix in January. And, of course, they just had the roof closed to keep it loud because the weather outside was perfect.
Right.
And, man.
Yeah, I've never actually visited Texas. Is it called Texas Stadium? Is that the old one?
Stadium, I believe now.
AT&T Stadium, right. But I used to live in Dallas and drove by all the time, and that is a gorgeous, gorgeous stadium. I love they got that giant screen like right in the middle. If you remember, at one point, did they adjust it? Because I remember the kickoffs and stuff kept hitting the scoreboard sign in the middle. So
right, the first
they had to make
season.
Adjustments. So
I didn't know you lived in Dallas. You went from Wisconsin to Texas and then to Illinois?
Yes. Yeah, I've been all over the place. I actually was planning to go to the University of North Texas to study film production. I wanted to be a filmmaker, and I got a job as a telemarketer for a while I waited to start college, and then got offered a job up in Rockford, Illinois, and wound up back here, and I've been here ever since.
Very cool. Well, yeah. I bet you've got some secrets to share on how the Packers are going to beat the Dallas Cowboys Sunday afternoon. So let us hear those keys to victory, Scott.
Well, man, I don't know if they're going to be considered secrets, but the number one thing, the offense and defense need to click at the same time. We saw the defense win the first 3 games for us, and we saw the offense finally start to get it together in Game 4. If we're going to come out with a W in Dallas, we're going to need to see good things from both sides of the ball, hands down. We've got to get our run defense in order, and we've got to get the ball in Rodgers' hands and get some good throws. Also, we got to be prepared for an opposing crowd. The Pack has been spoiled for the past 3 weeks playing in front of their fans. Now it's time to hit the road, and they can't let the pressure get to them, and they need to stick to the fundamentals while they do that. Lastly, we got an extra few days of rest, and I want the Packers to use those second and third string players to get them prepped and ready to fight, because we're probably going to have some key players out, and it's up to them to win this game for us. And that means we've got to be ready for Week 5 even more than we anticipated. And as much as you hate to see any player injured, it hurts even more when they're your big keys to victory. So here's to hoping that all the players are on the road to recovery and that those filling those cleated shoes are up for the challenge.
Those are all excellent points, Scott. I definitely think those are all the most important things for the team to do. We did handle the crowd noise Week 1 in Chicago. We held on long enough until we could kind of put him out of the game. So hopefully we remember what we did and kind of do the same thing in Dallas.
Surely.
So how do we figure out, we had our game predictions. You thought the Packers would win 20-17, which seemed reasonable. I thought we would win 30-21, not as reasonable. The final score was Eagles 34, Packers 27. Do either of us count a victory?
That brings up the point, because if we do the math, you technically would win this week, and this is not me trying to take away a tally for you by any means, but I feel like if we both pick the game wrong, that it's a wash and neither of us get any points. What do you think?
I think that's the fair thing to do. We both just thought for sure the Packers would find a way to win. Neither of us came out on the winning side, and neither did the Packers. So I'll agree to that. We'll stick with you being ahead 2-1.
All right. I can smell those cheese curds already, man.
Oh, man. Yes, we saw in the Facebook group Rick in Wisconsin posting a picture as he drove by the area where your favorite Culver's in Wisconsin is, and the cheese curd talk continues.
Oh, man, when you come in here to visit and we inevitably take you to Culver's, I think we should drive all the way up there and go to that one just because it's so massive and you got to go to the best one.
Oh, absolutely. We should try to, when that finally does happen, I don't know when I can make it back there, but we should, post it in the group and stuff and maybe have a little meetup and see if we can get some other listeners that might not be too far away to come
that'd
on
be
over.
Awesome. I think he said he was from Delavan, Wisconsin as well, which is like my old stomping grounds, right near where I grew up.
Really?
Yeah. I think I posted this in the group, but the girl I had a massive crush on from 5th grade until my senior year lived in Delavan, and she still lives there, actually.
Very cool. Well, let's see if we can change the stat line this time. I'll let you go first. How do you see this game playing out, factoring in the keys to victory and the Packers' great history in recent years in Dallas?
Oh man, I'm going to make you angry again, man. But I don't think the Packers are going to pull this one out. I think
For real?
the crowd, and I think the injuries, and just the fact that we just seem to be not clicking on both sides of the ball at the same time. I think the Cowboys are going to edge this one out with 24-21.
The heart attack pack will continue. Win or lose, too close to
I really
call.
wish our listeners could see the look on your face when I pick the Cowboys to win over the Packers. You're like staring daggers with a smile on your face. It's really crazy.
Is that what I'm doing? Well, you will be surprised that I predict the Packers will win this game. And I see the look of stunned silence on your face.
Have you ever picked the Packers to lose? In all of these 100 and however many podcasts you've been doing, have you ever picked the Packers to lose?
No. But hey, I am calling for a close game. I think
that's true.
The Packers are going to get 30 points somehow, some way, whether it's our defense fired back up or what. And the Cowboys will get 28. So it'll still be the Heart Attack Pack. Stay tuned to the end because it's going to be another photo finish for the Green Bay Packers. Ooh,
well, and plus it'll make our tally much easier next week because one of us is going to win and one of us is not. So there's no even need to worry to calculate points next week. It's just whoever gets it, gets it. No
participation ribbons?
No, sir. No, sir.
There's no participation ribbons in podcasting. Anyway, be sure to join our Packers Facebook community group at packerscommunity.com. There's lots of good stuff going on over there. There's a brand new video posted in there today from the Packers showcasing how the 2019 team photo came together today. And Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers, it's pretty funny. He's like meditating in the official team photo, it looks like. Andy started a conversation about more ways the Packers can beat the Cowboys. So we'll tag that onto your keys to victory, Scott.
All right. There's a little bit more Culver's and cheese curds chatter. I think we should seek sponsorship from Culver's at this point. What do you think?
I think that's a fine idea.
It's worth a shot anyway. And a ton more is shared. We'd love you to join in on the conversation as well. Just go to packerscommunity.com and let your voice be heard. And although the Packers Fan Podcast didn't win as the best sports podcast on Sunday night, we still maintain that we do have the best sports podcast listeners. The show could not have made it into the podcast awards as a finalist without you. It's impossible. Thank you yet again for listening, for voting, and for supporting your Packers Fan Podcast. Go, Pack, go.
And just a quick peek around the rest of the NFL, some things that jumped out for me was the division-leading Browns. That's right, the Browns beat up on the Ravens yesterday. They are currently in first place in their division. I think it's been a long time since that happened, but man, Chubb and Odell Beckham Jr. and Baker Mayfield, I think we may bump into them one of these future Super Bowls.
That would make it interesting for sure. As much as we've been ragging on the Browns for so many years, it's cool to see them back on top, even if it is only for a little while. There's so much history in Cleveland, and I'm happy for that team.
Absolutely. And right here in Southern California, the Rams, with the defense that a lot of people said was the number one defense, gave up 55 points yesterday to the Buccaneers. And I don't know if anybody saw that one coming.
I sure didn't, because Jameis Winston is sitting on my bench on my fantasy football team right now.
Why is he on your bench?
Because I don't trust Jameis Winston, and he has not been very consistent. And this would have been the week to trust him. Left 30 points on my fantasy team on the bench this week, and I'm not happy about it, especially since I gave Keenum a chance, and he actually was pulled from the game in the first quarter. So I definitely made the wrong choice this week.
Oops.
And
in the NFC North, as of now, the Packers still on top at 3-1. The Chicago Bears 3-1. The Detroit Lions, with that tie, they have a slight edge over the Vikings by being 2-1-1. And too bad about the Minnesota Vikings being at the bottom at 2-2. But as you can see, everything is still bunch ball. I mean, there's no taking a week off in this division.
No, this division is nuts. And I got to say, the Bears are looking scary, man. Their defense is looking sick. They're clicking now that they've benched Trubisky. Thank goodness.
You don't think he'll be back to start back next week? They paid so much money for that guy.
I don't know, man. They're doing better without him. It just
one game.
Well,
and it was against the Vikings, who even their wide receiver called out their quarterback after the game.
That's true.
Things are not. The wheels are coming off in Minnesota like they do every single year. Some years they wait till the playoffs. This year the wheels might be coming off already, and that's too bad. That's a shame.
I'm just saying that December 15th game is looking like it could be more and more vital as we get through the season. So if any of you guys are going to that game, be sure to let me know. My wife and I did order our tickets for the Packers-Bears game up at Lambeau, and we will be actually going up the night before, staying in a hotel up there and doing some tailgating beforehand. So I'd love to meet up with any of you guys and eat some cheese, drink some beers, and just love the Packers for it. So
I wish I could make it up for that game. I just can't make it this season, but hopefully you'll get a chance to maybe do a couple of live Facebook streams or something in the group or on your personal page or something. We can check in to see what you're seeing.
Absolutely. I will do my very best. Please hit me up if you're going to that game. I would love to interact with you guys, do a video for Wayne so that you can maybe even do a little FaceTime with you just so they can say hi to you. That'd be kind of fun.
Sure thing.
Yeah. Also, if you love to play video games as much as I do, be sure to check out my other podcast, The Gaming Outsider, which can be heard at the same places you listen to this one. This week's episode, which should be up around the time this episode airs, we have us talking about modern classics and what it means to have that title behind it. We're also reviewing 10 new video games. So head over to thegamingoutsider.com to read those or just listen to the show.
It's a good thing you've got a fairly sizable team over at the Gaming Outsider, because otherwise I can't imagine how you can review 10 video games in one podcast episode.
I have been a busy boy this week, man. It's been nuts.
I have trouble just trying to juggle Pokemon Go and Harry Potter Wizards Unite. So that's just 2.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, these aren't all games that I'm reviewing myself. Like I said, we got a team of people that are spreading the workload a little bit.
Oh, okay, good. And when you hear this episode, it will likely already be October. Oh my gosh, October. Get ready for season 2 of Castle Rock on Hulu with my Castle Rock Zone podcast. Coincidentally enough, you can find it at castlerockzone.com.
Thank you so much for financially supporting your Packers Fan Podcast via Patreon. And you can find that link at patreon.com/Packers Fan Podcast. And special thanks and shout outs to the following contributors. First off, listener Bryant, channeling Packers legend Willie Wood by supporting the show at the $24 monthly level. Really appreciate you there. And also, how about those Texas-only Green Bay Packers fanatics and their Facebook group and their $12 a month pledge level in honor of Aaron Rodgers? Really appreciate that as well.
And I guess on Aaron Rodgers' day off, him and Danica were out picking apples. I saw them.
There you go.
Danica post on Instagram. So it's apple season, people.
Officially.
It's even apple season here in Southern California. You guys are having warmer weather than us right now. Today's high was 69 degrees. And
wow,
that's the coolest September high I can remember.
Well, speaking of apples, man, whenever you get here, especially if it's in the fall, we got a place here called Edwards Apple Orchard, and I swear they're not paying me to say this, but if you live in the Rockford area, you need to go and get some apple cider donuts. They are the best ones you will ever have. You can actually go in there and get them right as they're coming out of the fryer, and very, very good.
Oh, that'll pair nicely with my cheese curds and my butter burgers.
Let's do it.
Better up the cholesterol medicine. We've also got some great Brett Favre $4 a month supporters, namely Lawrence Harvey, Jeff Summerfield, and the support dedicated to lifelong Packer backer Randy Westgame of Wausau. And we've got Go Pack Goes going out to Curly Lambeau $1 a month supporters Matt Haig, Hank Davis from the TPE network of podcasts, and Aaron Peterson from the Hollywood Outsider.
Check out how you too can financially support the podcast at a level to match your budget and even get some fun Packers Fan Podcast logo merch by visiting patreon.com/Packers Fan Podcast. Thanks so much, and go Pack Go!
Did you say Go Pack Go?
I did say Go Pack Go!
Nice.
We are the Unofficial Packers Fan Podcast, not affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers, but we are definitely open to it. If you're interested, please contact us at our email, which is media@PackersFanPodcast.com.
And of course, join the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community at PackersCommunity.com. Follow us on Twitter at PackersFanPod. Follow Scott on Twitter at GoCastScott. Follow me on Twitter at Wayne Henderson and join the conversations.
And we really want you to be a part of next episode, as always. Just get your feedback in by Sunday night at 11 p.m. Central. You can go to PackersFanPodcast.com and click the Contact Us button for details. Want to give a very special thank you to Kenny Clark for joining us again for this interview. We really appreciate that. And thank all of you listening for joining us again on your Packers Fan Podcast.
Be sure to subscribe in your podcast player of choice so you don't miss an episode. The Packers are heading down to Texas, and with that in mind, it's extra appropriate for our friends with the Texas-only Green Bay Packers Fanatics group to amp us all up to crush those Cowboys in Dallas yet again.
This is Dawn down here in Texas, a.k.a. Granny Cheese.
Hi, I'm James.
Hi, I'm Kim.
Hi, I'm Melissa.
Hi, I'm Susan.
Hi,
I'm Carrie.
Hi, I'm Lisa Montgomery, and we want to say,
Go Pack, go!